What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about how is LeBron James' groin injury going to affect the Lakers when the playoffs. So let's see what they have to say about that.
How concerned are you about LeBron's groin injury?
Not really concerned. The Lakers have really nothing to fight for at this point in time. And when you have an older superstar like LeBron, it's about rest. Because one thing you know is when this postseason comes, there will be no rest. He is going to be playing 45 minutes a night. Because one thing we are 100% sure is the Laker offense struggles when he's not on the floor. Now, have they improved as Anthony Davis' offensive game stepped up? We saw his explosion earlier in the bubble. But ultimately, they need him 100%. They want to make sure that he doesn't have a tweak, he doesn't have an ankle. Is his groin probably sore? Who knows? But ultimately, I think we're going to start to seeing a lot more rest for some of these superstars before they head in to the postseason.
So I'm going to have to agree with Richard Jefferson on this one. I think LeBron James is doing a little bit of load management because he knows he better be as close to 100% as possible once those playoffs start, especially if he's going to bump into those Clippers. So I think, he's just taking some time off. I wouldn't look too deep into the groin injury, but I don't know. Let's continue.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What most people have to understand is a growing injury is not you sit out one game and it feels better. A real growing injury takes a long time, so I'm not necessarily saying this is a growing injury. I'm erring more on the side of what Richard's saying. I think this is just going to be rest, knowing that the Lakers haven't necessarily figured out this bubble situation yet. So they know one thing for certain is LeBron's going to have to be superhuman like he's always been. So like Rich said, he's going to be playing, 43, 45 minutes a night. And now's the time to get rest because once those playoffs start soon, there's going to be absolutely no rest for Braun.
Yeah, I think you got.
Now, on the other hand, I was kind of thinking maybe LeBron James is coming up with this premeditated alibi of his groin injury before the playoffs even start. So if he in the playoffs they get bounced out early, or things don't work out the way they want them to work out, he has this as an excuse to say, oh, well, see, we didn't do so good, or I didn't do so good because, I had that groin injury, before the playoffs even started, and that was really hampering me. That's why I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to do. So, I don't know. That's just food for thought.
They're probably right. That is nothing too serious at this moment. I'd be surprised if they just pulled it out of nowhere, though. Like, I'm sure if he had to play, if this was a playoff game, he would play. But he's getting older. Like, we have to acknowledge that last year was the first time that we saw LeBron even seem slightly close to human and that he could get injured and he could miss some significant time. So I lean on the side of saying that it's probably not a big deal. But I would say that I'd be shocked in any year past that LeBron would have any injury that would impact his play, but not after we saw last year. So I don't think it's a huge deal, but I think it's more concerning than it's been in the past. And you guys know that we all agree that they haven't gotten to that rhythm that they want to be yet. And both of you guys have taught me today that there's not going to be any rounds off in the West. So he needs to be playing. Like, they need to be at tip-top shape in order to go against Portland. So maybe it's weighing between rest and being fine-tuned, and it seems like they wouldn't let him rest if they thought that they had everything, or they shouldn't let him rest if they don't feel like they have everything kind of back on the tracks, right?
So I'm pretty sure what's going on. LeBron James is in control of it. And I think LeBron James knows his body better than anybody else. So if he wants to rest, I think it'd probably be best for him to rest up so he has time to heal up and be as close to 100% as possible. I don't think it's the coach's decision. I think, like I said, if LeBron James thinks he needs to sit it out, he's going to sit it out. I think he'll be just fine and fine-tuned and do whatever he needs to do once the playoffs start. So I think it's his decision, and he's deciding probably to sit it out, which I think would probably be the smartest thing because LeBron James knows how to turn it on when he gets to the playoffs. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Well, I think one thing...
I think right now it's okay that he's...
Well, I think
he's resting right now, which is all good. He doesn't need to be...
Oh, God.
All right, what about when these important games do come into play?
Yeah.
Yes, Richard.
Well, if it was just if they just said rest, they would probably take heat because the NBA has been off for 4 months. Everyone's been resting. So if the Lakers just came out and said LeBron is resting tonight, that probably would have been more headlines. So they can just say it's an existing injury, which happens a lot of time, as Richard can speak to. We can have sprained our ankle 8 months ago, and if we take a night off, it could be because of an old sprained ankle. So like I said, there's probably a little bit of an issue there, but I think it was more just rest. And if they would have said rest after the everyone had almost 5 months off, they would have been questioning, like, why is he resting? He needs to be playing. So they said they put the, a nagging growing, and that's going to shut everybody up.
Like I said, that might be a premeditated alibi with this groin injury, and just in case things don't work out, he's going to have that in his hip pocket to go back to. Oh, well, where was this hip? Where was the groin injury I had before the playoffs even started? I was hurt, I was injured, but I was just trying to fight through it, and I just wasn't able to do it. It's not because we just weren't good enough, or we just got beat up. It's because of the groin injury. So I don't know. Just keep that in mind.
Matt, you are so true.
That was just an excuse?
Like we're all trying to see. Yeah, we're all trying to say the exact same thing.
What is that?
Okay, well, that's good news then.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like I'm missing something.
We have to start
Whoever wants
raising
to take it, you got it.
Okay, yeah.
No,
I mean,
I'm just saying there was a lot there. Go ahead. There was a lot of things that were being said. There was a lot of things that were being said that weren't necessarily like what Matt said. We all know the truth. We know the truth. Braun is fine. Braun is fine. He might have a little this, might have that, but they're going to be overly cautious. These games mean absolutely nothing, but you know who they mean something to? They mean something to the fans, they mean something to the NBA, and they mean something to ESPN. But ultimately to the Lakers, these games mean nothing. So they're going to protect their asset at all costs. And look, I'm not saying he's done. We're not saying that he's done for the rest of the bubble, but you might see him maybe one more time.
And I also just think that the Lakers really need to find, we know what we're going to get from Braun. Like Rich touched on early in the show, we know what we're going to get from all of our stars come these playoffs. They're all going to be their amazing selves, but they get paid a lot of money for why the teams are in positions they are because of the stars. But I think with the Lakers' issues are they really need to find that third and fourth option. I love the way Kyle Kuzma's been playing. I think I speak for everyone when we thought he was going to be that consistent third option. In the bubble, he's been that consistent third option. You also get Caruso going. You need to get Danny Green as hot as he can be because, like I said, although Avery Bradley wasn't a star, he was a key piece of that team, someone who was always going to take the best offensive player and someone who's been in big games who can knock big shots down. So I think more than anything, it's just trying to find out what else they have going on out there because they had some good chemistry and good rhythm during the regular season, but it hasn't been the same in the bubble. So like I said, you know what you're going to get from Braun. You know what you're going to get from AD. What are you going to get from the supporting cast?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'd rather have LeBron James be rested up and be good to go versus have him keep playing to make sure everything's fine-tuned. Because we already know, like you said, LeBron James can turn it on and turn it off. So I'd rather have him rested up and make sure everything's okay with that part of his game versus, trying to just get it turned on, which he can do. So I don't know. Let's continue.
But I didn't consider that. I just only thought like they need to get everything on track right now, so they might need LeBron to play because the first round is going to be tough. But the point you're bringing up, Matt, is like this is a good opportunity. Having LeBron on the bench, like LeBron's not going to be able to play every minute in the playoffs. And there are going to be certain moments where they're going to have to hit big shots. And they're going to have big possessions where the ball's going to have to be in Caruso's hands or in Kuzma's hands or somebody else. And this is an opportunity right now to try those different lineups, to give people different opportunities to be the chief playmaker. Because while Rondo's injury was a big deal and Avery Bradley staying out of the bubble was a big deal, I think it's not necessarily for the defense that they provide, but those guys are also LeBron's backup in a sense. Like when LeBron's playing the point guard and running the offense, he's essentially a point guard. And if you don't have anybody...
Hold on. Of course he'd be a point guard if he's running a point and doing the things that point guards do. Then he's a point guard.
Else who has the experience or you can trust doing that puts a lot more pressure on LeBron. So figuring out if you have someone else who can run the offense, I think helps in building the confidence of these guys in these big situations. I think is an important thing that they can try to do in these games that are for everybody else mean something, but for the Lakers are frankly close to exhibitions.
Look, wait, really quickly. Dominique, how much basketball do you watch, man? I am actually impressed with you, and I have never said that to you in the 2 years we've worked together. I've never said that. I am so impressed. I'm gonna stop sending you my notes, man, so you can stop cheating off my homework. But ultimately, Dominique is correct, man.
Basketball is pretty fun to watch, guys.
Okay, yeah. So is football. So I hope you guys figure this thing out, right? I hope you guys figure this thing out.
No, we're not as smart. We're not as smart as you can see. We do things a little differently.
We all know that.